What is homestead exemption, and is it really worth filing for? Thanks for joining me today. My name is Scott Rich with Rich Realty Group and Keller Williams Realty. Today we're going to focus on the state of Georgia, but most every state has their own version of homestead exemption, so make sure to visit your local state and county websites to get the most accurate information for the area that you live in. Now, Georgia Homestead Exemption is a program that provides a property tax reduction for homeowners who live in their property as their primary residence. You can only have homestead exemption on one property at a time. This also applies for married couples. Now, to qualify for homestead exemption, the homeowner must live in the home as their primary residence as of January 1st of the year they're applying for the exemption. When applying for homestead exemption, you must get your application in before April 1st, and homeowners typically submit that application to their county's board of tax assessors. And because the state requires that it's your primary residence, most counties will want to see updated ID, maybe a deed to the house. Sometimes they'll even ask for vehicle registration, just showing that it's registered in the state of Georgia. One of the best parts about filing is you only have to do this once. So you just file and forget it, basically. So before we dive in too far on the savings that homestead exemption can provide you on property taxes, let's get familiar with property taxes and how to calculate that maybe for your county so you know kind of what to look for. So for the most part, you get taxed on a reduced property amount, and it's based on the market value of the home in the county in which it's located. When it comes to taxes and value, you pay taxes on what's called the assessed value. Now, this can be as low as 40% of fair market value. Now, fair market value is what current market value would be if we sold your home in today's market, okay? Now, there are some counties that have assessed values a lot higher than 40%, so make sure to review the percentages of the counties that you're looking to buy in. How to figure out your taxes? Well, let's go off that 40% scenario we just talked about. You just closed on a house that's worth $300,000. So 40% of that is $120,000. In a county that has a millage rate of 25 mills, the property tax on that house would be $3,000 per year. So 25 for every $1,000 of assessed value. So you're probably wondering, what in the world's a mill? Well, a mill is basically a tax rate, or otherwise known as millage rate. And a tax rate, or 1 mill, represents a tax liability of $1 per 1,000 of assessed value. So going back to that scenario, 25 mills equals $25. You multiply 25 for every 1,000 of assessed value, which is 25 times 120. We go back to the $3,000 per year on that $300,000 house. Also, the tax rate, or mill, is set annually by the board county commissioners. Now, the average county's mill rate in the state of Georgia is somewhere around 30 mills. So make sure to check out the county websites to see how much their mill rates are. Now, mill rates can also be broken down into several different categories, and usually they are. So, for instance, you'll see something like 10 or 15 mills will go to the school board, and 4 to 7 mills are going to go to the fire department, and maybe they have some mills going to park and recreation. So that way you know where your money's going. So now that we have a good grasp on the taxes and how they're calculated, let's go back into the homestead exemption conversation. Standard or basic homestead exemption is the amount of money deducted from the 40% assessed value. Now, the state of Georgia set that amount at $2,000. Doesn't sound like a lot, but some counties pay more than that to their residents, and this amount varies greatly depending on the county. I've even seen, as I've done some research for this, some counties as high as $15,000 to $20,000 off that assessed value. Now, a lot of counties do have on their websites calculators and kind of a full breakdown of all the reductions or deductions that they do provide. So even on the low end, if you were just saving $10 or $15 a month on your taxes, it's still a tax break, and it definitely adds up over time. I would say it's worth filing for, especially since you only have to file for it once while owning the property as your primary residence. Now, for those of you who are watching this video and hoping that there would be thousands of dollars in savings and maybe even a fully forgivable tax benefit, well, unfortunately, that's just not the case with the standard and basic homestead exemption. Now, I'm sure there are some exceptions for for some people, depending on price point in the county that you live in, but not necessarily for the standard or basic homestead exemption. Now, Georgia does have a really cool program that they're allowing counties to do, which is called homestead valuation freeze. Now, there's several counties that have already implemented this, and what that does is it basically freezes the valuation of the property based on the original year's valuation. So this lasts for as long as the homeowner lives in this property. As property taxes go up, which they're bound to do, it always stays at that original year evaluation, which is pretty cool. Now, Georgia also offers some incredible exemptions for homeowners who are 62 or older, individuals with disability. They have a program for surviving spouses for qualified individuals. This includes military personnel, firefighters, police officers who may have died in the line of duty. These exemptions can provide a lot of relief from taxes for those that are eligible. So make sure to check with your county to see what those additional benefits may be, because just like that homestead standard deduction, it varies greatly from county to county. So last thing I did want to mention about the homestead exemption in Georgia is that they do have a protection which will help if you run across a bankruptcy or get in trouble with some creditors. And really what it does is it keeps the property safe from being seized from creditors and a bankruptcy court, as long as you don't have over $21,500 in equity. Now, if you're married, it actually doubles, so you'd be at $43,000, which is pretty cool. And it doesn't just apply to your home; it can also be used for personal property. Now, there's a lot of information where it goes into a lot more detail on that. So again, definitely keep up with those websites, and we will have some websites down below of all the surrounding counties throughout Atlanta to help give you a leg up. Now, we all know there's many advantages to home ownership, and now I think we can all agree homestead exemption is one of them. So I hope this video was helpful. Please reach out if you have any real estate related questions, and subscribe to get notified for any of our future videos that we send out each week. Thanks so much for joining us.